Welcome, everybody, to episode 6 of Planet Hero. Please, everybody in the chat, thank you so much for being ready with us and waiting. We had a slight delay to get started. We are all ready to rock for this episode. This episode, we will be breaking down episode 5 of WANDAVISON, titled on what is it on this very special episode.
On this, yes, on a very special episode.
On a very special episode. That's what it's called. So yeah, welcome everybody. Please let us know. Make sure to let us know that the audio is all working and everything, and that there's not any technical things that we can't see. With that being said, speaking of the technical, let me just double check here before I make a fool out of myself.
We're in 720, if that's what you're going to check.
Oh, come on. Really?
Yeah.
How terrible is that?
That's
see.
weird. I mean, if you can adjust it, but if you can't, it's not a big deal.
This should have been our first stream in 1080p. I don't know why it's not. Let me see if I can do anything about that on the fly here. I cannot. Okay, well, next stream will be in 1080p. It should be streaming in 1080p, 60 frames a second. So on some devices, it might not be that much of a noticeable difference, but on like if you're watching on something like a TV or smart TV or anything like that, you should definitely be able to notice a difference with that. But yeah, so mine didn't automatically connect. Okay, let me just make sure everybody refresh your feeds. Oh, let's see here. Set. All right, TJ, you wanna take us away here and start doing this? I just have some things I have to fix for the chat here.
Yeah. So I'll just go through I'll start going through the episode. So season 1, episode 5, WandaVision aired February 5th. 38 minutes long. So a tad longer than previous 4 episodes. I believe on Disney Plus, I want to say it said 41.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably just credits and stuff like that. So description, Wanda addresses Vision's worries when he grows suspicious of the neighbor's strange behavior. Directed by Matt Shackman once again, created by Jack Schaefer, written by Peter Cameron and Mackenzie Dorr and Cameron Squires. Starring Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda, Paul Bettany as Vision, Catherine Hahn as Agnes, Tiana Paris as Monica, Randall Park as Jimmy Woo, Kat Dennings, Darcy, Evan Peters in an undisclosed role, which we'll get to. And you have some of the kids, Josh Stamberg once again. And then actually Danielle pointed something out to me off of TikTok that you might have said at one point that I missed, is that they're actually taking people that were in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and recasting them in the show. Did you know that?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
If you mentioned
they're playing different characters, so I don't know if there's anything to
that's
that,
what I meant. Like
other than just characters. They're already in the family of
right.
Disney and Marvel and stuff.
Right. Okay. Is there anything else for me to mention? I think that's about it. So we're actually probably gonna go through. I don't know how long this episode's gonna be. It might be a little bit longer than the other ones, just considering there's so much to go through. So I actually have the synopsis pulled up here, but we'll actually start with like our initial thoughts on the episode. So Sean, what did you think after watching this? Would you stay up till 3, or you saw it last night or yesterday?
I saw it yesterday morning. Yeah.
Okay. So what did you think?
I thought that this episode was. I mean, we say it pretty much every week. Say the same thing, almost the same thing with Mandalorian. But it just keeps getting better every single week. Everything that the show has been promised to be is starting to come into play. Basically, everything that we had hoped for the show, what has started unfolding. Without getting into too much detail, there is definitely some big stuff that is going to just keep getting bigger. Seemingly every week now, we are in the habit of every week we're getting a crazy cliffhanger ending, just like a comic book, pretty much. And yeah, I think it was an excellent episode. I'm very excited to hear your thoughts. And then, of course, these episodes are all, spoiler reviews. So if you're watching,
Hmm.
please, hopefully you've watched the episode. But we will obviously get to that very big spoiler towards the end here.
So yeah, so what I thought is I actually had to wait. Obviously, I didn't stay up till 3 because I had to work in the morning. And then Danielle had to go to work at like 2 or noon or whatever. So I waited until she got home at like 11. So I just watched it last night.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this episode was probably hands down the best one so far. Obviously, you remember I had like just a small complaint last week where I was like, I just wish there was more. Like, I just
Mm-hmm.
wish it didn't end the way it did.
Mm-hmm.
But this episode completely made up for that. Well worth the wait. A lot of different stuff is going on. We already knew that, but this is kind of getting into okay, what is going on exactly? And again, we'll get into it, but like the glitches continue to happen in whatever is going on in her world right now. And I'm just really excited to see what happens next. Like it's getting to the point where it's like I really can't wait. Like I just love like the anticipation for this show is like it's like movie hype at this point.
Mm-hmm.
For me at least. I don't know about everybody else.
Yeah.
But like if you're like a MCU fan, I don't know how you don't watch this show.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Same. I think that's a
Yeah.
very good way to put it. I think that it's definitely at or above movie
Hmm.
hype for me and for a lot of people. I think at this point,
Hmm.
there's definitely a ton going on and a lot to look forward to every single week. It's kind of what do you call it? Event television, like kind of can't miss
Right.
television, that kind of a thing.
Yeah. So you want to get into it? We'll just
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
start off. All right.
start off.
So I'll try not to read every single line from the synopsis,
Mm-hmm.
but so I'll try to skip around. So the beginning, couple opens at their 80s home, cold open. It says Wanda and Vision are trying to get the twins to sleep, and then Wanda tries to use magic to get them to sleep when Vision goes to the next room to get their binkies, but her magic doesn't work. The babies spit out the binkies, and Wanda wonders if they need help. So this is just kind of like showing that obviously, they're magic. Not their magic, but like the magic it doesn't work. Or what
Yeah.
she's trying to do just isn't working because either
Mm-hmm.
like something else isn't letting it work or she just is unable.
What's it called? Yeah, to me, what it showed was the early signs of what all the Marvel fans watching, and I mean maybe some
Hmm.
people that aren't big Marvel fans that are watching that. Danielle said in chat there, she said she knows people who don't watch Marvel movies who are watching this. I've talked about
Yeah.
my roommate Brianna is avidly watching this, and doesn't watch the Marvel movies. But what that showed to me was, yes, just like the comics, Tommy and Billy will have powers,
Yeah.
and in the past we've seen Wanda's magic doesn't work. Like magic doesn't always work on other magical beings. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like you even look at something like the fight between Doctor Strange and Ebony Maw at the beginning of Infinity War.
Hmm.
uh, you know, Ebony Maw thought he had him, completely locked up, and then Doctor Strange,
Right.
he just slipped right out of it. Like it's like
Yeah.
that's kind of the same. I mean, that's a very different situation, but it's kind of the same thing. It's like Wanda's trying to use the magic on them, but it's not working because they're like, bro, no, we can do that. Like
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
want
yeah.
that. Like you know what I mean? Like clearly they're magic.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I thought that was a very, very interesting scene, and then that leads, like you said, into the next part, which is Agnes coming in.
Agnes, yep.
And if you want to give
So
the brief
basically,
on that.
she just kind of walks in and she says she heard the kids crying, which doesn't make any sense because I think Vision even says like, "Who told you that they're crying?
Yeah,
Like, how do you know that?"
yeah,
And this is kind of like that's where it begins in this episode of him starting to question. I mean, he was already questioning, like even the first episode when he's at his job and he's like, "What do we do here?"
hmm
And they were just like, "Oh, we just push out numbers." He's like, "Okay, but like for what? Like, what do they
yeah,
represent? What do they mean? How do they affect everything else?" Um, and she offers to help, and Vision worries that Agnes might accidentally hurt them. So Agnes asks Wanda to take it from the top, which is like, I don't know, it's kind of like a bizarre. That's like her saying, "Oh, do you want to rewind?"
Like she's asking
And
like a director. Like
exactly,
like
yeah,
oh
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry I blew that. Like do you want me to take it again? Like that like
Yeah.
that's like basically what she says to her.
Yeah.
And Wanda's like what
Um,
what?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And Wanda and Vision have, obviously, like it says, have no idea what she's talking about. Which
Vision more
I
so.
Vision more because I
Yeah.
think, if I recall, Vision like pulls her aside and he's like, "What just happened? Like,
Yeah.
did you not see?" And she's like, "What are you talking about?" And so she's kind of like, Wanda's like, "Just ignore whatever just happened." What?
Bro, sorry. I just can't believe how old Paul Bettany is, bro.
What is he like? 45?
He's 50, bro.
50?
That's crazy. Paul Bettany, he could pass for 26 in this show, bro. He could. Oh my god.
I
All
dig
right,
his
sorry, continue.
hairstyle. I like his
All
hair.
of his
like,
hair is so good. Vision's hair, I mean, Wanda's
Yeah.
hair is great, like obviously, like, but Vision's hair is so
Mm-hmm.
great the way that it changes throughout the years, like especially the 70s one with like the long like hair, and then this week too.
Yeah.
The wardrobe and just the look of this whole show
Uh-huh.
is amazing.
Vision, where were we? After they share a live, Vision privately asked Wanda what all that was about. Wanda dismisses it, yep, as Agnes being confused and has no idea what Vision is talking about, right?
Yeah.
So then the twins stop crying and disappear from their cribs, which in the comics, I guess, is that her kids actually aren't real. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And basically, what I've been hearing
Well,
from
sometimes in like
Okay.
House of M, they're yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then like I've heard that like when she's off doing something else, they like don't exist in some things, like you just said, if that's true.
Yeah.
So they disappear from their cribs, and Billy and Tommy are behind them, now 5 years old. So again, this is showing that they can just kind of, and they get mentioned it multiple times in this episode, where they just kind of like grow up like 5 years at a time.
They like
it
age
seems
up.
like. Yeah. Agnes is drinking some dark liquor and comments that nobody can control children. WandaVision pick up their sons and hold them. And I think that's where it flashes to the intro, which you have a bunch of
Oh
it's
my
pulling
God,
from
this
a bunch of
intro
different
is so good.
sitcoms. Full House. I don't know if you can. I can only name Full House. I don't know the other ones.
And like what's the other one? Family Ties, right? With the painting.
Family Ties. Yeah,
With the
yeah,
painting, I think that
Yes.
I think that's right. I watched a video earlier today.
Did we pass? It didn't say. Did we pass the baby pictures of Vision?
Not yet. Hang on.
okay,
Let me
okay.
pull this up here. Because
I'm doing it on IMDb. I don't know if there's
Groot
something easier to look at.
No, I mean I'm just pulling up a picture.
Okay.
Groot and well, no, because that's all in the intro.
Right.
All
Right.
the pictures are in the intro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the intro, basically pulls from these different sitcoms, and it shows these pictures of them as children. So
Yeah.
Wanda and Vision, the Vision baby pictures are very, very funny. So Flash. Now we're, and again, I think the aspect ratio changes again, where it kind of
it
looks
does.
like a movie again, which so we're outside of the, what's it called? What do we call that?
The
again?
hex?
The hex, yeah. Sword medical team is inspecting Monica after she basically was thrown out of the hex. And they're kind of doing some tests on her, like her blood and her memory, I think it was. And kind of like images of her brain and her head. And basically they show nothing, correct? Like they're just blank.
Yeah. They're just
X-rays?
blank. Yeah.
Which I did think, I was thinking about it, but I just kind of glossed over it when I was watching the episode, because I think it was you, or maybe I watched somewhere else, that mentioned that she is a superhero at some point in the comics. So I thought that this might be the beginning of that. What did you think? Do you think that's what they're kind of hinting towards?
I think definitely. Yes. Sorry, just 1 second.
You're good.
Dropping everything over here. I'm just gonna pull a picture up of of baby Vision on my phone, because I don't have the
Scene?
I didn't put the what's it called? the screen, the overlay that we can pull things
Oh
up on.
yeah.
I don't have that in yet, so I
Yeah.
just have to pull it up on my phone. But yes, I think definitely. I think that this is going to be the start of her getting her powers. Now, whether
Mm-hmm.
that's just her actually physically being inside the hex, or if
Mm-hmm.
it's something like or if it has to do with what Wanda did to her. So I don't know if it's just like if any human goes in the hex, are all these people gonna be whatever you want to call it, mutants or whatever,
Yeah.
going forward, or is this something that specifically something that Wanda did to her? I think
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be interesting, but I think it's definitely going to be the start of seeing her powers, basically. But yeah,
Um,
there's
Danielle asked me, I think last night.
that's,
Danielle asked me last night.
I like the new
She was like, "What
co-host.
is Wanda?" No, I know that's hilarious. She was like, "What is Wanda?" And I was like, "Well, she's inhuman, correct?"
In
That's what
the
I said.
comics or in the movies?
I guess in the comics,
In the comics, she's a mutant.
she's a mutant, and
Yeah.
in this, she's inhuman. Is that what it's called?
No, she's
No,
like
I said inhuman, but I was like, I'm not sure.
she's like no, because Inhuman you have to have a pterogenesis has to happen, which is like
No,
you
Jesus.
you touch a rock and then you get put into a bigger rock and then you come out either dead
Yeah.
or with powers. Um, she is what I think is in Age of Ultron. They said the Mind Stone gave them their powers. That's just what they
Hmm.
said. They said Strucker experimented on them with the Mind Stone and it gave them their powers. I
Hmm.
think this show is going to be backtracking a little bit on that. And I think it's going to be that whatever Strucker did to them awoken
Right.
their mutant genes.
Gotcha.
So I
Yeah.
think she is a mutant in this. They're just not calling it that yet. If you would have asked me back in 2015 or 2016, I would have said, "Oh yeah, they just said some weird stuff where the Mind Stone gave her powers
Yeah.
or whatever." But now I think they're definitely going down the road that is yes, her powers were awakened by the Mind Stone.
Right.
But she has the mutant X gene in her. But yeah, in the
Hmm.
comics, she's a full mutant because she's. I mean, spoiler alert for the comics. Who knows if this is a spoiler for the MCU?
Yeah. Honestly. Yeah.
But Magneto is her and Pietro's father in the comics. So
Which
yeah,
I
they're
think
just
we'll
straight
probably get to
mutants.
towards the end. We'll make some predictions and stuff like that of what
Yeah.
we expect to happen. So Jimmy and Darcy rush in and they're talking to her. They're like, "Oh, you have a briefing soon," and they're like, "Oh, we need more tests." And Monica's like, "No, we're not doing any more." So they leave.
Mhm.
So then we get to the briefing, and it's Hayward. He's talking strategy, and he suggests that Wanda is a terrorist. Basically saying that she is, she's doing all these things to these people inside. Now that they know what it looks like inside, because well, one, they had it on the TV, and then they also have the account from Monica. And what I thought was cool was Jimmy going through her entire history. So basically, like if you didn't know who she was or where she came from, they kind of give you like a quick rundown
Mhm.
in like a few seconds on who she is and why she is how she is. And Wanda and her brother lost their parents. Oh yeah, okay, that's telling you what how they got their powers. Hayward wants to talk strategy and suggests that Wanda's terrorist. Monica disagrees, believing it's not a premeditated act of aggression. So I feel like she almost has it in her head that like Monica like obviously knows how she's feeling because she also lost somebody close to her.
Yeah.
At the hand, basically because of Thanos. I mean, the cancer wasn't directly linked to Thanos, but she was never
She
with
could have
her
had.
mom on her last
She could have had
days
those
because of
last 2
Thanos.
years with her. Yeah. Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think I might be skipping ahead a little bit, but I loved the interaction between when I forget who says it when I think Jimmy's like, oh well, she could have beaten Thanos, like she had him like right there,
Hmm.
And if it wasn't for, I
Monica
think it was
says
the
that.
Blitz.
Yeah, Monica
says that.
says yeah, she could have taken out Thanos single-handedly.
Yeah, and then
Jimmy says.
Jimmy says, "Oh, but Captain Marvel,
Yeah, he's
had
like,
him."
I
And
think
then
Captain Marvel could have too, you know.
yeah. But then she like gives this look,
Mm-hmm.
Monica, which I'm not sure what to think of. It might be due to maybe she never came back, like she never came to see them after.
Yeah.
What year was that? 1980 something?
1995. Yeah.
95.
So that's a long
Um,
time.
yeah, so maybe she never
you
came
figure
back
now it's
to see her mom.
2023. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. When she was obviously kind of on her
Yeah.
deathbed. So that was kind of interesting, I thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you think about that. It's like, as far as Monica is concerned, it's like, Aunt Carol never came back for 28 years.
Mhm.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like,
So then Hayward pulls up this clip that they got that he was like, "Oh, this is we're allowed to release this to show you guys from Sword. This is Sword like facilities. I think 9 days ago it said." And it shows Wanda invading the Sword facility, taking Vision's corpse and resurrecting it. And Darcy wonders what happens when Vision learns the truth about his resurrection. So I thought that was wild. I think that was a question that I feel like a lot of people had going into this, kind of like how Vision got there, as well as what happened to his body after Infinity War. And I don't know if I think I mentioned this to you like when we weren't doing a show, but there was like, it was probably like when Endgame came out, 2019, so 2 years ago.
yeah.
2 years ago, I think when the Russo brothers were doing press for Endgame, or maybe it was Infinity War, or no, it would have been Endgame. They're doing like one of the,
Oh, yeah, like the
stylish
the
magazines, whatever.
Yeah, like
yeah. And
Vanity Fair.
somebody, right. And they were reading tweets, of course. And one of the tweets was like, "What happened to Vision's body?" And they were like, "Well, I guess that would be a story for another day." And obviously, this is what happened to it.
Yeah.
So what did you what do you think about that whole, like, what did you think about that scene? Like, do you think that's her? I know that some people, and we'll get to it later,
I
like
definitely
her
think
coming
it's
out
her.
of the thing. Okay.
Yeah. I definitely think that it's her. Yes, I definitely think that it's her. What do I want to say? I still think, and we've talked about on this show, Planet Hero, for the past couple of weeks, I still think that there is some sort of a deal going on here. That some sort of a deal has been struck with her and somebody else. Maybe Wanda doesn't even know. But yes, I definitely think that was her. One thing I do want to say about the Vision and his corpse and everything with that. I think it's very interesting that in a world that is so in a universe that we've seen be so, you wouldn't call it racist, you'd call it bigoted towards enhanced individuals, Inhumans, people who are basically mutants, that kind of thing. That like the Vision just like was completely accepted as a human being with like complete rights to have a living will. You know what I mean? I just thought that was very
I
interesting.
didn't even mention that. Basically, that's the other thing that Hayward says is like, this is going against Vision's last wish, which was, don't use my body for a whatever.
Weapon. He said it. Jimmy says like, it goes against the Sokovia Accords to do this, and it goes against Vision's his will, like his last will and testament, like he made one. Which I thought.
I was listening to John Roca's like podcast that he does, Geek Buddies. They were reviewing this episode. I think it was him that said, or no, it was Mike Vogel who said, that's, don't use him as a weapon, but the cams clearly show he's like hooked up on some table.
That's exactly what I wanted to talk about. That's exactly what I wanted to talk about, was they are like experimenting on him and like he's hooked up. It almost reminded me of in the Snyder Cut, Cyborg, like Cyborg scenes in the Snyder Cut, like Snyder's original vision for Cyborg, where you see, Cyborg's little MP3 or little MP4 file in Batman vs. Superman. If you remember back to those days when, Bruce Wayne's at the keyboard, pulling up all the flash drives on everyone. Cyborg's like he's like pinned up on like a chalkboard or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
Vision, same thing, and he's like dismembered. He's like C-3PO in
No,
Empire
yeah.
Strikes Back. His head is on one table, his arms are in another place, his torso, like they were doing something to him. And my question is, how did they disassemble him? Like when I saw that he was in pieces, I was like, the only reason Thanos could even get through his thing was because he did it with, he had the Infinity Stones, all of them except that one. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, how did they get him taken apart? And also, yeah, exactly. Danielle said Vision's been dead for 5 years and they're still messing with his body. Yeah, like what the hell? Oh man, think about that. Vision technically got blipped because he was gone for 5 years and now he's just back.
That was an argument. Did he get blipped or did he just die?
No, he died. Yeah, no, he definitely died.
But
I mean,
yeah,
because
so
he just killed.
so you're saying technically he did?
Because
That's what you're
no,
saying.
I'm just saying technically because he lost the same 5 years as everyone else.
Right.
Give or take 9 days, or a few weeks or whatever.
So after that scene, after the little argument that we got going on there, we go back to sitcom world in the Hex, and Tom and Billy washing a dog, but I think they just found it in the sink. Wanda comes in and just like, what are you doing? And why are there all these bubbles in the sink? And they're like, oh, we found this dog. Or actually, they're trying to hide it, and then they move. There's a dog there. And then Wanda points out the dogs are a lot of responsibility, and Vision comes in wearing his human face because he had a hunch someone might come over. Now, that's kind of weird. And literally 2 seconds after that, Agnes walks in the door. Which she seems to do in classic sitcom fashion. People are just always coming in.
As Vision
unannounced.
says, with exactly the item we need. Or
exactly
the item we require.
And Agnes comes in the back door with the doghouse. And so it actually shows, just real quick, the dog shorting out an electrical plug. I thought he was peeing on the ground, or I actually thought he might die and get electrocuted for a hot second.
Wow.
Because that would have been really dark. But
yeah.
the show is dark in general. It's not as it's dark, but it's not like that level.
Yeah.
And then Agnes suggests his name, Sparky, and Wanda agrees and conjures a collar and tags for the dog right in front of Agnes. And Vision is very thrown back by that.
Yeah, she does
basically,
it right in front of her face.
Yeah, and he's like, "What are you doing?" Like, what? And she's like, she just kind of was like, she didn't even see it. Like, just forget about it. And he's like, "Well, we need to aren't we supposed to be hiding our powers, not just like blatantly
concealing
using
ourselves?"
them?
And she goes, "Well, why should we?" And then she like touches his face and goes, "Maybe you don't have to either." And it's like he's like, "What? Like, what are you talking about?"
Yeah. And then Wanda tells the twins that she and Vision don't think they're ready to care for a dog until they're 10. And then as soon as they say that, they look at each other and they basically grow to the age of 10. Which, and I think that's in front of Agnes, correct? Yeah, she does. Yeah, that's what it says. And she doesn't notice. Which, she notices things like, she didn't even notice that. At the end of the third episode, when she's like kind of talking to Wanda and Herb, right? That's his name, the other neighbor. And she's like, don't let her know this or blah blah blah. And then a little later in this episode, she also kind of notices something, or she kind of realizes that Wanda says something, and she's like, what? So after that, we're back in the little sword base. Darcy tells Monica and Jimmy that the twins have aged at 10. Monica wants to go in with shielding against the mental effects, and Darcy and Jimmy note that Wanda is displaying more power manipulating the sitcom reality than anything she's displayed in the past. So basically from this point I think Monica basically has the idea to kind of rig up a drone in this in the dressing of an 80s sitcom, because they kind of realized that the only things that change, it's changing stuff to mesh with that time period, which we mentioned in, I think, last episode. So Monica examines the photos of reality, and they go back to the lab and check the clothing Monica was wearing as Geraldine. And it turns out it's 87% Kevlar. I think that's what it
Yeah.
was. Which means it's basically it can withstand bullets very well. I want to say it's bulletproof, right?
Yeah.
Because but so Monica shoots the gun with Jimmy's clothing, and she confirms the clothing is 87% Kevlar, and she was wearing a Kevlar vest when she went into Westview. Monica figures that Wanda is rewriting reality, and what happens if they send something in that requires no change. Cue the drone.
Yeah. I'm gonna be right back. I just gotta turn my heat down because it's very hot in here.
Okay.
You can just go on to the next point. I'll just be right back.
Okay. So basically after that, we're going back to sitcom world in the Hex. And Vision is at his job, computational services, which I always thought was kind of funny. I just thought like that's just like the most generic name for any company that I've ever heard. Setting up his new Commodore computer, and a Communique. Oh, I read that wrong. Basically an email from Sword, but they're not really fully sure what an email is. Comes in for all the workers, and recite basically what the email says in chorus. I don't exactly remember what the email said. Maybe Sean does, so I'll ask him when he comes back. Only Vision notices anything unusual, and when he touches the computer, it glows. Vision touches Norm, and he glows briefly as well. So basically, what happens here is Vision kind of snaps Norm out of Wanda's control, or somebody else's. He basically mentions Wanda, I think, maybe not by name, but basically infers that it is her. Do you remember? I don't know if you heard me say this. Do you remember what the email said by chance?
It was basically an email from Darcy. Now I was a little confused because I didn't know if we were supposed to believe that Darcy had just sent the email, or if because the town just got Wi-Fi, they just started picking up on it, that kind of thing.
Right.
So that was a little confused about, but it basically was just like,
Oh wait, Wi-Fi.
Or not Wi-Fi, internet.
I was gonna say Wi-Fi was not a thing back then.
That's not what I meant. I meant like internet. Like you hear that it's dial up.
You hear
like
the
modem.
AOL
Yeah. So it basically was just an email from Darcy. It was just like a thing like the Westview or Westview anomaly, not sure impact on residents, please advise, and then from Dr. Darcy Lewis.
They all read it kind of creepily too. Vision's the only one that doesn't recite it and
oh yeah,
and write in tandem with everybody else. And then I was basically kind of going on to the point that he basically snaps Norm out of whatever trance he is in. And that's kind of dark as well, where he's like, she's in my mind, where's my wife? Where's my kids? And it kind of gives a glimpse into what, how these people are feeling, maybe how they will be feeling afterwards.
Yeah.
Who knows how this whole thing ends, but when they're no longer under the control of somebody, and what kind of effects that has on them.
I'll say this, that he goes to Vision and he keeps saying, Vision's like, Norm, calm yourself. You have to explain to me what it is. You're not explaining it well. He's like, you need to calm yourself so you can tell me actually what's going on. Kind of a nice way of being like, snap out of it. Tell me what the hell's going on. Shut up.
Kind of like Airplane when they're all in line to hit
slap
that lady
him.
that's freaking out. Yeah.
And all Norm says is, you have to make her stop. You have to tell her to stop. She's in our heads. She's in our heads. I think, dun dun dun. I think it is not referring to Wanda Maximoff. I think they are referring to Agnes, because he does not say who. He very explicitly does not say who he is talking about, and the only
Okay, so I was wrong on
what?
that. I was like, oh, I think he refers to Wanda, like maybe not by name, but he refers to her. But I
Well,
think
no, he
I think
does.
you're right. You're right.
He refers to her, and you're as the audience, you're supposed to, you're or as Vision, maybe you're supposed to just be like, oh, he's talking about Wanda, like, because the only person that we know, uh, of feeling Wanda's presence is Geraldine, but Geraldine does not describe it the way Norm does. Norm's like, "Please help me! You gotta help me! You gotta help me! You gotta like." Geraldine was like, it felt, it was terrifying, but it was like a sadness and like, and then she says the word that most she says grief. It felt like an overwhelming amount of grief.
No,
Norm is like terrified.
Yeah,
like
that is the connection. That is one of the connections they have kind of put in between Wanda and Monica is this sense of sadness, grief, exactly, where Monica lost her mom and she wasn't able to be with her in her final years. And Wanda watched her boyfriend basically just murdered in front of her.
Well, even worse, Wanda had to kill her boyfriend.
Yes.
And then
it
watch
didn't matter.
time get reversed, bring the boyfriend back, and then watch the boyfriend's head get ripped out.
Crushed.
Yeah.
And she honestly, I think, I don't know, look, from last episode where it's kind of that quick glimpse for 5 seconds where he's basically just a corpse of what he looked like at the end of Infinity War.
Yeah.
I feel like,
you ready for this? This is my Vision impression at the end of Infinity War.
Okay.
That was it.
Do you think she's able to look past that and project him as this, to her at least, as this just regular Vision? Or do you think she's always looking at him like that?
I think
like dead.
No, I think that the more and more I think about it, the more and more I think about the way that like kind of the rules of this reality rewriting is. We see that she can physically alter an object. Right. That's what they show with the Kevlar, with the jumpsuit. Right. You know what I mean, with the vest and the stuff, and the dolphin pants or whatever that Monica has. She's like, it's still my Kevlar bulletproof suit. She just changed the actual appearance, but not the like molecular structure. Basically, that's what they say by revealing that it's still bulletproof. So I think that physically, that is still Vision's corpse. Physically.
Yeah.
But just like physically, Monica's, blue and white clothing is still her black Kevlar jumpsuit. Vision physically is still the corpse, but to everyone, including Wanda, it's Vision. Regular. Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see that next week, because I think next week is next week is finally when we're going to get the Halloween episode, I believe.
Oh.
Based on
I think it is from
based on the promos and stuff.
Right.
And one of the biggest moments from the trailer is, you see in this episode, you see Vision first use his ability to, kind of wake people up on Norm, and months and months and months ago, almost a year ago at this point, you saw, him wake up Agnes, and she goes, are you dead? Or am I dead? And he goes, no, why would you think that? And she goes, because you are. And then she goes like,
and she cackles.
Like, oh boy.
Oh my Lord.
But he is regular Vision at that point.
Yeah.
He is the regular Vision. Like in his normal appearance.
Which you could also just say, oh, he's dressing up.
Well, no, because in that scene you see his like fake Vision costume morphs into his actual appearance. So it's like it's gonna be very interesting to see. But let's go ahead and finish out this episode because there are some big things still. So next we get we had the conversation with Norm, and then we kind of cut back to reality. There goes that whole thing, that whole Marshall Mathers thing. Where are we here? There we go. The drone,
we're
I
at,
forgot. Sorry.
Yeah.
So basically their idea is, well, what if we send in something that doesn't need to be changed? So they get a drone from the 80s to go in, and they're like, well, maybe it won't change because their imaging drone got changed into like basically an RC helicopter. So they couldn't get anything from it, but they were like, well, what if we send in something that is correct for the time period? And it does work. It's fuzzy because of the hex that it's in, but they are able to get image, and I think audio as well, because they were able to talk to her and they were able to hear her. And then basically all of a sudden, Maria is trying to communicate with her, is trying to be like, Wanda, this is, or
basically what Jimmy was doing.
Yeah, not Maria. I'm sorry, Monica.
Third episode, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And then, talking to her is clearly not working. Then all of a sudden the controls are taken from Monica, because, Hayward basically says, take the shot, and Monica's like, what? Like, it's not armed. It's not armed. Like, she clearly was not briefed on the fact that this was going to be them trying to kill Wanda, basically.
Take her out.
Yeah. Which is like,
I don't know what you think
an
you're
idiot.
Gonna do
Yeah, exactly.
Using a drone. Like,
absolutely.
Clearly he hasn't done his homework.
Yeah, exactly. So then we get this great scene where after the drone tries to fire, basically the camera feed just goes fuzzy. After you get a terrifying look at Wanda's, red eyes.
Danielle was like, "That is terrifying." That red eye, death look. Yeah. That was,
what's it called? It reminded me of Brightburn, like that the kid's eyes in.
Yeah,
Brightburn.
I've seen the. I've never seen it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Just like the deep red set eyes, or like even like evil versions of Superman. You know what I mean? Like when he does the heat vision, it gave me that vibe definitely. But then we get this big alert at the base that there's something going on with the hex. There's a breach. There's been a breach. There's been a breach. So then everybody runs outside, and then that's when we finally get that shot from the trailer that we saw with all the guns pointed. And then you start to kind of, the hex is kind of, I would like bubbling a little. It's like
dispersing almost kind of.
Like, almost like it's opening, like a small section is opening. And then all of a sudden you see Wanda walking through holding pretty much half of the drone. And she is full, Scarlet Witched up. Like she is in her superhero outfit, walking up, and she throws the drone at Hayward's feet and was like, basically she pulls a roadie, like, boom, you looking for this? She throws it at his feet, and she's like, is this yours? Speaking with her Sokovian accent again, by the way. And she's like, is this yours? And he goes, Wanda, we're just trying to, he's kind of like BSing his way out of the situation to not get killed immediately. And he's like, Wanda, we just need to talk. You're holding a lot of people hostage.
Right.
Just tell us what you want. And then Wanda basically gets that terrifying look again, as they're all, the gun sights are on her. Very Magneto reminiscent, by the way. How many times have we seen a bunch of guns aimed at Magneto and then he turns them on them?
Now let me actually pose this question again. This is the same question basically as with her stealing Vision's body. Do you think this is her coming out of the hex?
Absolutely, yeah.
I've heard some thoughts that might not be her. So
who do they think it is?
I don't know. It could be Mephisto or the villain of this show. Maybe overarching morphing into Wanda. Could be.
Perhaps.
I don't know. I think that is her. I think it's an interesting idea, though. I think that it would kind of like that'd be a curveball that again would probably come up a few episodes down the road.
True.
But I think that'd be an interesting idea.
I think it must be her only because we see her use her powers in the real world.
Right.
If she only walked out. Oh yeah, if she only walked out and like threw the drone and then walked back in, I would be like, okay, maybe it's somebody pretending to be here, but like she full on, she used you know, her powers, multiple different powers, you know, that we've seen her have before. So basically then he says, you know, we're just trying to find out what you want. She says, I have what I want, and I'm never letting it. She doesn't say him, but we all know she's talking about Vision. She goes, you know, I have what I want, and I'm never letting anybody take it away ever again. And then basically she does one of these, you know, like with her, I guess they're calling them hex bolts now in the MCU.
That's what it says on here. Hex bolts.
So basically, she uses one of her hex bolts and, you know, kind of shoots it just in Tyler's general direction, and then all of his men move the gun from Wanda to Tyler, and he's like, whoa. He's like, dude, hold your fire. And clearly, I don't even think they're listening to him. Obviously,
right?
It's kind of, and then Wanda walks back in, and then they you know, their mind wash kind of goes away. Their brainwash kind of goes away. And I think that was a moment of Wanda saying, I am not an evil terrorist like you're trying to say that I am, but I could be. So leave me alone. You know, that's the kind, literally, like, that's what I think it's like, guess what? I could turn every single gun on Earth to point directly at you at any moment, but I'm not going to. Let me live my life. Please go away. Yeah. You know, that kind of thing.
This is just another show. Like, if you didn't believe it already, she is hands down, like, the most powerful, you know, person
being
in this universe.
In the universe,
I think, like, didn't they say it? Or no, I think it was Feige who said that she was as well. I thought he said Captain Marvel was for some reason at one point.
He said that Captain Marvel is the strongest. So Captain Marvel, so, like, basically, like, if you're Thanos and you're punching both of them, you know, Wanda would fall down first, kind of thing. But if you're Wanda or Carol and you're going, how could I kill Thanos?
Yeah.
Wanda could do it in about 0.2 seconds. Yeah. Carol might take, you know, a few seconds to figure it out. Like that kind of thing.
I was talking to Danielle before we came on this, and I keep coming back to the scene at Endgame when she and Thanos are, like, facing off, and she's like, you took everything from me, and he goes, I don't even know who you are. And, like, do you know how, like, infuriating that must be to, like, fight the person that took everything from you and them go, what are you talking about?
Like, you don't even get you get the satisfaction on some level, but you don't get the satisfaction of knowing they know, like, they crossed you. You know what I mean? It's like, it's like, well, crap. Okay, I get to kill you, but you don't know why I'm killing you, and it's like, it's frustrating. It's like, it's like, you know,
she has him too. Like, in that scene, in that moment, like, she's got him dead.
It's what, like, Kevin Feige and fans, and now in universe, Monica has said, if Thanos didn't call the troops to fire on everyone on the battlefield, including his own men, she would have killed him right there. I mean, she literally rips his armor off, breaks his sword, you know, breaks his bones. You could literally see when Thanos is like, she's like got him like writhing in the air, like, and like you literally see on his arm, you see the bones go, like, you can, like, and she's just twisting him up from the inside out. Like, it was, and you could see when they do the close-up of Thanos, when he calls on the troops to, you know, fire down on the thing, he is, like, screaming. Like, he is in pain.
And they're like, but sir, he's like, just do it.
He's like, but, you know, I mean, Mom's like, but hire our troops. And he's like, do it. Like, he's like, God. Like, oh, my God.
I gotta watch that movie again. I haven't seen it in a while.
It's a good one. Yeah, if you haven't watched it, Avengers Endgame, it's a good one. Okay, so now we get to the juiciest part of the episode, pun intended. We get a commercial for paper towels.
Okay,
So
when I saw this, I was like, Lagos, that sounds so familiar. I literally just watched Civil War. So that I know, I was like, what? Daniel was like, oh, it's from Civil War, the thing the airport they fight, right? That's what it is.
No, it's from the beginning. It's when she blows up, when Crossbones kills himself, and then she tries to contain the blast, but she shoots it up. She shoots it up into a building. She made a mess that she didn't mean to.
Okay. Yeah. Now I get it.
Yeah. Because remember, the whole thing in Civil War was that, like, she was like, you know, Cap was trying to show her, you know, like, listen, you don't have to be what they say you are. Like, we know that it was a mistake. Like, you didn't mean to.
Yeah.
Like, accidents happen.
And then you have Tony, like, stay
Yeah.
here because,
Yeah,
bad
like,
things
don't
might happen.
fuck anything else up. Which, like, I mean, that just goes to show the difference between Steve and Tony, which is just like, they both care about Wanda, obviously, Steve and Tony. They both care about her, like, as if she was a daughter, you know what I mean? But the difference in parenting of Steve being like, listen, she needs to go out there and show people that she's not what they say they are. Yeah, and Tony's like, no, just keep her at the house for a little bit so that we can kind of do damage control. And Steve's like, that's not what we need to be doing. Like that. Okay, so yeah, we'll talk about Civil War another time. But yeah, I thought that this commercial was one of the best ones.
Okay.
I think it was the best commercial actually. Again, with the exact same cast, the same two kids, the same two parents.
Now, do you think they're gonna say, "Oh, that's her parents"?
I still do. Yeah, I think I do. Yeah. I think that they're gonna. I think that those people in her brain, are her parents. Because interestingly, we have seen them, try and identify townspeople, but we've never seen them talk about the commercials.
These advertisements.
Yeah, we've never seen, Jimmy or Darcy or Monica even address the ads.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting too. Like they talk about it a little bit when they have the drone inside, that she's literally showing you what she wants you to see. So like any angle that she doesn't want you to see, you're not seeing from the perspective of Sword at this base on this TV. I just thought that was really interesting, and so then, I think we're at the dog.
Yeah. So next, we see, after it just kind of jumps back, kind of what you just talked about, kind of the editing and censorship thing. We see nothing of what happened to the drone inside the town. We're just all of a sudden, it's just the next scene, and we're like, all right, where's Sparky? All of a sudden Sparky's missing. And then basically they walk over to Agnes's house, and she is holding Sparky, brings him out of a bush. She's wrapped up, and Sparky's dead. So is she a dog murderer? Probably. We'll find out. We'll find out eventually. But basically, the big thing of this scene is basically to show how big of a hypocrite Wanda is essentially. Because the kids are like, "Mom, you can fix anything, and I believe it's Billy says a very creepy line where he goes, "Mom, you can fix anything, fix dead,
even the dead, fix dead."
Yeah, and he's like, "Fix dead," and Agnes, who I am sure is just playing a role. She goes, "You can really do that?" She almost like she's trying to get information or something like that. Yeah. And basically Wanda, tells them, just because, something dies, no matter how sad it might be, there's nothing we can do about it. We can't just reverse death all the time, which obviously clearly is,
and then walks up walking death.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then walks up, the man that she is, marionetting his corpse. Which,
oh my God,
it's just such a, it's if you want to say hypocritical or whatever you want to say. There we go. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep track of where I'm reading. And then basically, Vision walks up and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, boys," and then we cut to the next scene. And also, I will say, which we will talk about in a second, another line I don't want to miss from that scene is, the whole family is forever, bring him back type of thing. If you can bring him back, why don't you bring him back? Right. That's what they say, which might be something that, an idea that goes into Wanda's head or somebody's head for somebody who might show up in a little bit here. Family is forever. So next up, we have
they're in the kitchen.
Two Avengers enter. One man leaves. We have couples fight of the century here. So basically, Wanda's putting away. We cut back to the kitchen, like TJ said. Wanda's putting away Sparky's toys. Vision, walks into the house, and clearly you see, the kids are in bed, and Vision was just outside burying the dog. And basically, she tells Vision, oh, don't worry, the boys will be okay. And Vision's like not having any of it. Like he is like,
No, he's done.
We have seen, kind of his glances like at the end of the last episode of him kind of going, like, and then now this episode, he is in full on rebellion, you might want to call it.
Oh,
being
yeah.
like, what are you not? He even says to her earlier in the episode, what aren't you? He was like, he says, Wanda, you and I are normally so much of the same mind, but right now, what aren't you telling me? Like, and you could tell. I mean, there is one. The two of them are, I would say like Tony and Pepper, Steve and Peggy, and then like Wanda and Vision are the like three like true love story like connection. Like you could tell they really love each other in the MCU. And so you feel it when Paul Bettany says that. Like he's like, what aren't you telling me?
I think this is the
like,
relationship I'm most invested in.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Out of all three of them.
Well, also, I mean, rip, but the other two relationships are over.
Yeah. But this also, like, as they're arguing, they're kind of arguing and walking out of the kitchen.
Yeah, and then the credits
roll,
which reminded me of Too Many Cooks, the Adult Swim thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no,
with all the credits. Oh my god! If anybody doesn't know, watch Too Many Cooks. It reminded me of that so much.
And the credits roll, and basically it's kind of like she's trying to end the conversation, like end the episode.
She's trying to end the episode.
He's like, no,
yeah.
no. We're not.
he's like, this is not. We are not credits rolling here. This is not over. And then basically, like they storm out of the kitchen into the living room, and when Vision, goes out of the kitchen, the credits kind of go, and then they stop. Like it's like, oh crap, the episode's still going. And then he flies up and he pulls Adam Driver from Marriage Story, and he's like, every day I would no. He flies up and he's like, what is happening? Like, what aren't you telling me? Like, oh my god, there's some great. Also, by the way, the acting of the two of these.
Yeah.
It's such a shame because it's definitely going to get overlooked by the Emmys and the Golden Globes, which is so upsetting because Paul Bettany. I mean, both of them, but Paul Bettany is acting his ass off, his synthesoid ass off, and basically, Vision's like. They're fighting. Basically, he's like, what is outside of Westview? What are you not telling me? And she's like, you don't want to know that. You'd stop.
No, he's because he's like, I don't know what I was before Westview.
Yeah, and he has the great line of he's like, tell me what is out there outside of Westview, and she goes, you don't want to know, and he like flies up even further, and he like screams, and he goes, you don't get to make that choice for me, and she's like, what? She's like, you never talked to me like this before, and he's like, what is before? He's like, I don't know what happened. What is my life?
He also brings up the fact that he's like, I walk to work every day by the playground. There's never any kids at the playground.
Yeah.
There's never anybody around except maybe a neighbor or two that exist in this world, and that's about it. So he's pissed.
Yeah, and he's talking about what TJ just said. It's like, why are there no children in Westview? And, Wanda says that she didn't know how any of it started and that she's not controlling the town. And like, you have to believe me. I don't know what's going on. Like, I can't control everything. You think I'm making sure people go to the dentist on time? You think I'm doing you think I'm doing all of this?
That was funny because I had a dentist appointment today. And I was like, oh,
look at that. Bang, bang.
Yeah.
And then basically, they kind of calm down. Because they kind of get the shouting done, and then they kind of calm down, and Vision walks over to her, and he's like, he like puts his hand on it, and he's like, Wanda, what you are doing, because he doesn't believe her for a second that she's not.
Yeah, he's like,
this.
She's controlling all this ridiculous.
So he puts his hand on her, and he's like, all right, the only thing left I can do is try to get through to the woman I love, you know what I mean, like kind of thing. And Vision says, what you're doing here, what you're doing to these people is wrong. Like, you cannot do this. And then the doorbell rings. And it's
the dog,
and it's the
DoorDash.
No,
that was before.
Yeah, and it's the DoorDash delivery driver with their Taco Bell. No, the doorbell rings, and she said, and he kind of goes like really, like we're in the middle of this conversation, and you're like sending somebody in to interrupt it or something.
Yes,
And
yeah.
she's like, I
And
didn't
add on to
do this.
point, Danielle just said they literally did a talent show and there was no kid for high
Yeah,
school.
no,
For a school.
exactly. Um, what's it called? And she's like, I didn't do this. I didn't. I don't know who's at the door. Like, I didn't do this.
Right.
And Vision's like, Paul Bettany's line delivery in all these movies, man. I mean, if
Oh
you
my
go back,
God, he's so
just
good.
just go back to Civil War and the whole conflict breeds catastrophe speech that he gives.
Right.
It's some of the best acting in the MCU, period. And a good case for why the Sokovia Accord should exist. But basically, he said he's just like, Wanda, I want to believe you, but at this point, I am throwing everything out the window because I just don't know who you are or what is going on.
It's literally like a breakup. They're like breaking up almost. Like
Yeah.
at the end of this episode.
It's an Anakin, you're breaking my heart. You're going down a path I cannot follow. Like, literally, like, I never thought I would say this, but Vision is Padmeing this situation. I just hope he doesn't die of a broken heart.
Or broken skull.
Well, I go to fast forward to the last episode of WandaVision, Nick Fury. It appears he has lost the will to live. Okay, but anyways, let's talk about what you guys all came here for, which is the door opens and Wanda goes, and then basically we cut back to the real world and we see Darcy looking at the monitor and her jaw drops. And then you see the back of the head, silver hair and all, Pietro Maximoff, with the same hairstyle that he had in Age of Ultron, wearing a leather jacket, and then you cut to the reverse angle, and it is not Aaron Taylor Johnson, but it is Evan Peters. Dun, dun, dun.
I think Daniel's referring to Darcy's line where he says
she
goes,
recast
she recasted
Pietro.
her brother.
Yeah, she recast
And
Pietro.
That's so meta.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, oh, they literally did do that.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
now, actually, not having the big, I don't have as much of an affinity because I have only seen a handful of the X-Men movies. I've seen the first 3. I've seen Apocalypse, which I know is really bad, and I've seen, I think, the first Wolverine movie. I haven't seen Logan. I know.
You've seen all the bad ones.
Yeah,
There are really good ones. Well, I mean,
the first 3
the
ones,
first
they
first
weren't-
two. First 3?
Yeah,
the first
I
2.
don't remember. It was a while ago.
The third one is terrible.
And so I didn't really have a big affinity towards Evan Peters as Quicksilver, but honestly, I was very excited to see him as his character. I think it's just because it's all like, I mean, it's not coming together because we still don't know what the hell is going on, but it's just so cool to see everything that's going on, especially because this could be the whole multiple universes type thing. Like, I don't think it's gonna, like, do you think this is gonna be Quicksilver
So
from her
this is what I
from
will
this
say.
MCU? Do you know what I mean?
I hate to
by
poop
that?
on the parade here.
Oh boy.
I do not. Okay, well, we'll wrap up with this because we've gone a little bit long on the show, but I mean that's fine.
Wrap
It's a
up.
big
We're
episode.
not done yet. What are you
Well,
talking
I mean,
about?
with
We're only
the-
going for an hour.
Well, with the episode,
Oh, okay.
that's the end of the episode.
I thought
yeah.
you meant like the episode.
Well, I mean, we could talk about some theories and stuff. I just mean
Okay,
wrap up
okay.
talking about the episode, because I'm about to pretty much launch into a theory.
Okay.
So basically, we'll just say the last line of the episode, which is basically
Right.
you see Pietro, it's Evan Peters. You know, he talks with a New Jersey accent. By the way, he goes, "You can't long lost brother can't give a little sister his hug or something." You know that kind of thing. And then they hug, him and Wanda, and then the hug ends. The audience goes, "Oh, yay!" And then
Yay.
Pietro kind of looks at Vision and he's like, "Who's the popsicle?" So then, basically, I hate to poop on the parade, but I don't think
Oh boy.
I don't think this is any version of Pietro. I think most likely what it might be is kind of a nod to the fans and not much more than that. I
Because in
think,
the IMDb, he's listed as that character.
yeah, but IMDb
You think it's
is
just like
IMDb
Oh,
can be
okay, yeah.
edited by anybody.
That's
But
true.
well, no.
Fair, fair.
Also, right now with the information we have, yeah, he is playing Pietro Maximoff. He is playing
Hmm.
Quicksilver.
Correct. Yeah.
Um, I think that will change. Um, what's it called? So this is my thing. I think
Okay.
this is maybe it is Mephisto, maybe it is somebody else. But I think that this is kind of a distraction thing. So just like kind
Right.
of, Sparky was kind of a distraction that like, where did that come from? Like, that's just like a new plot element. You know what I mean? Like to kind of keep the story
Yeah.
going.
That's a good point because she didn't know that he was coming.
Exactly.
This is somebody else sent him.
Somebody else sent him. Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, and as far as we know, she's the one altering reality, and we all watched Pietro get shot to death. So
Ooh.
somebody else is pulling some sort of strings here. So I think that probably what it is like Darcy says, they recast Pietro. I think it's going to be something where someone is just playing the part of Pietro,
Huh.
and that person is Evan Peters. You know what I mean? Like
Okay. Yeah,
Evan
I could-
Peters
yeah,
is
yeah,
playing
yeah.
somebody. I basically what I told my roommate Brianna today. I said until he moves at the speed of sound, I'm not buying it.
Fair, yeah.
I'm not buying it. And also the accent. What is that? That makes no sense with Pietro. Now,
Right.
granted, Wanda does not use her actual accent in the sitcom. She uses her real accent when she came out of the universe, so that could be one thing. But also, why is it some over the top like New Jersey? Like I can't get
Yeah, hey.
no love for you, long lost bro. Like you know what I mean? Like that
Who's
kind
the
of
popsicle?
exactly. That's literally what he talked like. So for me at least, that's just my my
Right.
2 cents on
Yeah.
on him right now. I could be totally wrong. I'm totally open to be totally wrong. But like I said, I think it just comes down to until I see him use his super speed,
Right.
yeah, I'm not buying that is any version of Peter or Pietro, Quicksilver, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
I'm not buying it.
Huh. Yeah.
What were your thoughts on
I really don't know. Like I said, I was really excited to just see him because I knew he was coming. Like I told Sean earlier that this episode was pretty much it wasn't spoiled. Like I knew Evan Peters was gonna show up because it was trending all over Twitter. Like
Yeah.
I never clicked on like a trending topic, but it was just trending. Like Evan Peters was trending, and then X-Men was trending, and then Quicksilver was trending. So I was like, oh, okay. Again, it still didn't really it didn't ruin the episode for me. I still enjoyed every minute of it. Yeah, I could see where you're going with that. I don't know. Like I think it's really difficult. I want it to be like that they just recasted him, but bringing up the point that like I said like a few minutes ago, and then she says like she didn't conjure him.
Yeah.
He came from somewhere, from somebody else, not from her.
Yeah.
Which
It's almost
I
like
wasn't-
I mean this whole show is very similar to, the Truman Show. It's literally it's almost like something in the Truman Show where it's like, oh crap, Truman's about to, something like send in the, send in the brother, like
send in the normalcy.
yeah, like you know what I mean, like that kind of thing. It's like oh crap, or it could be something that if Wanda really is kind of fracturing, her mind or her, her psyche, whatever you want to call it, and is kind of losing it, maybe she did it subconsciously. We've seen that she can
Right.
change things subconsciously when she was giving birth. You know what I mean? And it goes back to the conversation with the kids earlier where she said, that Billy and Tommy are like, family is forever. If you can bring him back, why don't you bring him back? And I think maybe, what if that is something that Wanda heard them say that and then thought, oh yeah, what about, because then there's another scene that we kind of breezed over where, she's on the couch with Billy and Tommy and they say, Mom, do you have any brothers? And she's like, yeah, I do actually. But she doesn't tell them that he's dead.
Yeah, he lives
He
far
says
away.
he says he's very very far away,
Yeah.
and she said, and it makes me sad sometimes, but other times it's okay. What if this is something that what if Billy and Tommy brought him back
See, now, actually, I
to
originally
make their mom
thought
like feel better or
that
something?
they were just going to grow up and one of them would being Evan Peters, honestly. At first, I thought that for when the episode started,
I
but
saw
obviously
that
that didn't
theory
happen.
going around. You're definitely not the only one. It was a common
Yeah.
theory. Yeah.
So I thought that was
Which
like a
I
possibility.
thought that would have been interesting. It would have been cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, like I don't. I want to know who the villain is. I think there's two. I think there's two most likely villains, where it's Agnes and then what's his name?
Mephisto?
No, starts with the C. The commander guy from Sword.
Oh yeah, Hayward.
Yeah,
Tyler
I don't know
Hayward?
how if they're related in any way, shape or form.
Man, this show.
But oh my god, I just this has got me on such a high where it's like if like Falcon and Winter Soldier like isn't this good, like I'll be upset.
Well, I think it's going to be very, very different, but I
Yeah.
think it'll be
Oh,
just as
obviously.
good.
Yeah.
I think
Are
it'll be
all the
just as good.
shows series like just like one season? That's it.
No,
But
not all of them.
Loki is like multiple seasons, right?
Loki is multiple seasons. Like She-Hulk is multiple seasons.
Okay.
Moon Knight's
Right.
multiple seasons.
So basically, characters we haven't seen before are multiple, most likely. Well, except Loki, I guess.
Yeah, like yeah, I think it just depends. I think I think every single show has the opportunity to be more than one season. But I think shows like WandaVision, shows like Falcon and Winter Soldier, they are event miniseries to lead into other things. You know what I mean? Like, though, no offense to Loki, no offense to any of the characters. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying when you are told by Kevin Feige on a stage, we're gonna do WandaVision, then Wanda's gonna be in another movie, the Doctor Strange 2. Then that's gonna lead into this. Then that's gonna lead into that. It's gonna be very hard to squeeze in, to squeeze in, a WandaVision season 2. How would you even make that work? This is such a singular, story. Maybe down the line. I'm not saying there can't be a WandaVision season 2 in 2023. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, who knows? But that's just what I think.
Now, can we go? Let's do quick parent theories. So, are you on the Magneto parent train theory or no?
What do you mean? That like in the
Like, people
universe,
have said
that's
that,
who
like,
her dad
Magneto
is?
People, yeah, because so
Oh, absolutely.
can we assume that Evan Peters is not the Luke Skywalker like magnitude appearance?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, correct.
I would say that absolutely. For sure. Because that is who we were thinking it could be. You know what I mean? That was what people were like, oh yeah, maybe Evan Peters shows up at the last second and like he's Pietro now and like he, you know what I mean? Like, puts on some Jim Croce and fights some guys.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I also am starting to believe less and less that she was referring to Doctor Strange. I think it really might be someone else.
I could see it being obviously for easy reasons. You could see it being just Doctor Strange appearing in general because leads into his movie.
That is clearly the easiest. I think it's a foregone conclusion that Doctor Strange is going to be in this show.
Okay.
I just don't think that's who Elizabeth Olsen was talking about.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
right.
because I think Doctor Strange is kind of expected. You know what I mean? Not expected, but if Doctor Strange was in it, you'd be like, "Oh, awesome! That makes total sense." You know what I mean? You wouldn't be like, "Oh my God, it's Stephen Strange!"
Yeah.
Like,
And
you know what I mean? Like,
no, because I've seen like a few.
but if
shows
Michael
too
Fassbender showed up with a helmet
say
and
that,
a
like,
couple coins,
yeah, she knows Elizabeth Olsen knows the impact of a Luke Skywalker, young Luke type showing up in a show.
Yeah.
Like if you've seen, I know there's this clip going around where she's doing press with Aaron Taylor Johnson for Age of Ultron. She's like, they're like, what storyline would you love to do? And she's like,
House
I'd
of
love
M.
to do House.
Yeah.
But like they would never do it because it's so dark. Like
Yeah.
you know.
And it's like, well, that in itself, like in that
Yeah.
clip, I saw that clip because she's like, it's like a whole thing where like, she kind of creates this whole alternate reality, and or is this thing with like her kids and stuff, and it's really dark. I don't think we'd ever be able to do it, but it's like, well, we have about 90% of that already, so why not go the extra 10%? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just, it's so crazy how far this universe has come, that nothing is off limits, that everything is adaptable now. And to think that all of this started with, Tony Stark in a cave with a box of scraps. Like,
Can you do the Obadiah Stane impression?
not right now. Finish it.
Oh, we might. Can we touch on that real quick? I know it's the Wanda.
Yeah, let's touch on two things here before we go. Two things. First thing, more Don Cheadle talk. Surprising actually to me, Don Cheadle says that Armor Wars is ready to get going on principal photography in a couple of months. So,
dude, we're getting Miss Marvel this year.
Bro, I am.
Didn't that
like,
show just start
mind.
filming like 2 days ago? I feel like it was just announced.
It was like 2 months ago, but still.
I know, but still.
No, yeah. I was saying that to Brianna yesterday. I was like, dude, this is the first of 15 confirmed TV shows. Like, and this is like, and we're on episode 6.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, so Don Cheadle says that Armor Wars is set to begin principal photography in the next couple of months. So I mean, it could be filming as early as the beginning of summer, maybe even spring. And then he also said we're really gonna have a chance to explore a lot of stuff and layers about Rhodey, which is I am all for, because as you guys know, one of the people that I always say needs either a solo movie or now TV show
Big
of their
Rhodey
own.
fan over here.
Is Rhodey. I think great character. Don Cheadle is amazing as him in all of the ensemble pieces that he's done and the Iron Man films. Obviously, excited that he is going to be able to shine there. But yeah, let's talk about real quick here. We thought it was going to be already. We thought
Danielle,
it was
real quick. Danielle liked Terrence Howard more.
You can get out of the chat with that.
Why
nonsense.
did he? You said it was his money, right? That's why he didn't come back.
He wanted it. He wanted more. He wanted more money than Robert Downey Jr. Crazy.
Right.
Yeah, you can get out of here with yeah. You can get out of here with that Terrence Howard love in the chat. We'll just block you from the chat. No, I'm just kidding. Next time, baby. Not for you, Terrence. So we basically thought that this was fully confirmed. Rumored, not confirmed by Sony or Marvel, obviously, but confirmed in the sense of it's happening. Well, now we pretty much know it is definitely happening. On set, on the actual set of Spider-Man 3. We have not seen images or anything, but they have spotted Willem Dafoe on the Spider-Man 3 set. Back to formula. That whole thing. I'm just so excited.
They should bring in, on top of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, they should also bring in the guy who played Spider-Man the Broadway show.
Oh my god! I want to.
What a train wreck that was.
You know who I want in? Is what's his name? The butler, Harold. You remember that? The butler. Harry, I cleaned your father's wounds. His wounds came from he was pierced by his own gilder. Right. His glider.
Glider.
If you haven't seen it, just look up Spider-Man 3 glider bloopers or something.
Yeah.
The poor actor, who I don't know if he's still with us, but the actor who gave a good performance and everything, but played the butler in Spider-Man 3, he had the hardest time saying your father was pierced by his own glider. He kept saying his own gilder. His own gilder. Oh my gosh.
Now, is it safe to assume that Spider-Man 3 is before Doctor Strange, correct?
Bro, I don't even know. Yes.
I don't know the time.
Yes.
Okay.
So it goes Endgame, WandaVision, Far From Home, then Spider-Man 3.
Eternals. No, we got Eternal. Oh, you mean like
Chronologically.
chronologically? Okay.
Yeah.
Is it safe to assume that WandaVision most likely will be the cause of all these Spider-Men? Possibly.
I think so.
Not assume, but okay.
Yeah. Also, do not discount Loki could have something to do with it as well.
Oh, right.
We're getting
Yeah.
Loki way before Spider-Man 3.
Isn't Loki in like May or June or something?
Yeah, sometime this summer, they said.
Yeah.
Falcon and Winter Soldier has the confirmed date of March 19th.
Which
but,
is the week after WandaVision, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
The last episode.
So I'd have to assume it'll go Falcon and Winter Soldier, then whatever they're doing with Black Widow, however that unfolds, then Loki. So I think that Loki, messing with timelines and creating splinter realities, and then Wanda messing with our own reality, is definitely, I think, going to impact it. And also, I would not be surprised if Loki is also set pre-Far From Home, because the world is real wacky in Far From Home. If you don't notice
I haven't
that,
seen it in a while.
with just J. Jonah Jameson being there,
JK.
like that's the biggest one. J. Jonah Jameson, I think I would not be surprised if we find out J. Jonah Jameson is a direct result of what happened in WandaVision.
Right.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of craziness going on. Is there anything you want to hit on that we haven't talked about yet?
I feel like I had some in my head, but
we can talk about
recall.
just real quick here. We'll end on this, I guess. Disney is planning to release basically one ad spot for the Super Bowl tomorrow. It's reportedly going to include a lot of different titles, but it's going to be kind of like, if you guys remember back to last year's Super Bowl ad. It was kind of a 3-way trailer for WandaVision, Loki, and Falcon and Winter Soldier. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking at basically the exact same thing again. But yeah,
my God.
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the best episodes of WandaVision in the books for our review there. It's going to be hard to beat.
Throwback to when, like, I mean, I wasn't saying this personally. I know you weren't. When after Endgame, everybody's like, "So what do they do now? Like, where do they go?"
Yeah, exactly.
How are they gonna get I think
excitement's never gonna be like this. It's never gonna be like this again,
dude. It's like it's already getting up there for me off this show in general. I'm just so excited to see what happens, what comes out of these different shows and movies.
Yeah.
Best universe. So much better than DC right now. Sorry, DC, but
all right. Well, that will do it for episode what is it? Episode 6? Of Planet Hero. So as always, my name is Sean Monk at Paste Eating Yak down there, and I also did update my Instagram. So my Instagram used to not be at Paste Eating Yak, but now it also is at Paste Eating Yak. So you can find me on Instagram and Twitter there. And then with me as always is my co-host
TJ Cornwell, TJ_Cornwell on Twitter down below. And next week. Actually, sorry, not next week. On Tuesday, we have Jay Scotty in the house. We're reviewing Network.
Probably going to be going over any Super Bowl trailers, any info dropped, correct. All that kind of stuff.
So news and probably review of Network, or not probably, definitely review of Network.
Yeah.
So catch us this channel 8 p.m. Tuesday. Have a good night. Stay safe, and peace out.
In the words of Christian Harlow.